Hello and welcome to Inspired Messages with me, Sue. And Happy New Year, and welcome to 2026. I have actually had a 6 month break. I've had a lot going on, mainly losing my wonderful husband, John, who I miss dreadfully. And that happened in July, and then a dear friend in November. So it's been a hard 6 months. And so I decided I would come back and give it a try, as it's been difficult to concentrate, as you can imagine. Um, anyway, I've had a look at what's going on in 2026, and it's actually being hailed by many astrologers as one of the most pivotal years, a turning point of our decade, or maybe forever. Who knows? The only way we're going to know that is when we come to the end of 2026. But we're moving out of a long period of heavy emotional water energy and into a much more active, fast paced fire and air era. This is due to Pluto, which is already in Aquarius, which is an air sign, and Uranus will move into Gemini, another air sign, on the 25th of April. And then we have Saturn and Neptune finally moving into Aries, a fire sign, and then Jupiter is moving into Leo uh, at the end of June, which is also fire. So, as I say, I've looked at the transits for the year, the good and the challenges. Um, so, yeah, let's have a look. Get yourself a cup of tea and relax. It's probably going to be at least half an hour. Um, and Yeah, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you like and subscribe, it's likely to be shared to more people. So I'd really appreciate that. And it doesn't take a minute to do it. And you will be told when when my next video's out. So that's always good. But anyway, today I'm recording this on the 3rd of January, but yesterday, the 2nd, Mercury joined the Sun and Venus and Mars in Capricorn. And, we've talked about Capricorn for many years now, but it is about building something that will last and stand the test of time. And we have to ask ourselves, what are we building collectively, and also individually? And most people do like setting goals, particularly at the new year. So it's really good energy for for doing New Year's resolutions. So, yes, New Year's resolutions and new beginnings and projects. They need a strong Mars energy, actually. And Capricorn, it stands no nonsense. It won't give in. So we can use the Mercury to communicate what we want, our ideas, writing things down, writing that list, writing what we want our life to look like. And we can use the Venus for the creativity, um, or hopefully on the world stage, peace and peace treaties. That would be really good. So the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars will travel together through January. And on the 18th, 19th of Jan, this transit will be at its strongest. So um, obviously we've got the Mars in there. So it could connect to conflict, maybe with Russia. Um, but, because Mars was the god of war. Um, and In Capricorn, it's kind of, yeah, got this strong energy. And obviously the Venus, a peace deal, as I've said. But we don't have long to wait to find out because we are in January. So keep your eye on the dates. So this triple conjunction happens every 6 years or so, but not usually at the start of a year. So symbolically, it's pretty dynamic. It's a good energy to start 2026. From the 20th of January to the 20th of February, we will have outer planets in aspect to each other. So I would expect lots of surprises during that time happening around the world. Of course, we don't know how it's going to affect um, us individually unless you have your chart looked at. So a lot of this I do attribute to world affairs as well, but you can also look at it from a personal perspective. And it's always good to know where the planets are. So today, the third, we have a full moon in the sign of Cancer. And this is a supermoon, making it extra potent. And since Cancer rules the home and the heart, this this brings lots of emotions regarding the family, and maybe the sense of security, because everything at the moment is you know, on shaky ground. And, so it's really about, thinking about what makes you truly safe. And, have you got support around you? Are you in a family that can pull together? That kind of thing. But it also can be about your ambitions as well. And the moon is actually opposing Mars, so it's not all lovey-dovey. So watch out for arguments, stay calm. We're likely to see people protesting as their emotions get the better of them. The sun and the moon do harmonize with the north node in the chart, which may enhance creativity. So we may be able to make progress in some areas of our life. Um, and on the 8th of Jan, no, the 6th of Jan, Venus is exactly at the same degree as the Sun, at 16 degrees. And that makes Venus what we call Cazimi, meaning Venus is at the heart of the Sun. It gives it more power and can be seen as a time of renewal and harmony, hopefully. So fingers crossed. As it is in the sign of Capricorn, the building energy, maybe we can expect something to be produced that will stand the test of time. I keep going back to that because that's what we need. But certainly there are a lot of good things happening in the background by good people. There's some amazing things going on. Obviously, you have to look at alternative media to find out what is actually going on. And I usually do try and find some videos. So if I can find a video, please look at the links under this video that I'm making to see if I put any links to things, really good things that are going on. So on the 18th of January, the new moon is going to be in Capricorn. So again, it's your business moon, and Capricorn, as we've discussed many times, is the sign of structure and the long game. It's a perfect opening for setting professional goals or committing to a new discipline of some sort. Um, if the full moon was about feeling, this new moon is about building and structuring new things. It is conjunct Mars and Venus. So we have a repeat of the Sun, Venus, Mars that we had on the 2nd of Jan. But we also have Mercury and the Moon there too, bringing in the communication and the emotions needed to create a strategy that works. These planets are also trining Saturn and Neptune. So Neptune can help with creating the future. It's about creating a vision for the future, doing some creative visualization. So Neptune can help with that, creating the future in that way. what you want, and Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, can help structure what you want. So the big three transits, well, for this year, and I'm sure you've heard about them if you've been watching other astrology channels, but it's defined by three massive shifts where the outer planets, the ones that shape history and generations, change signs, or they meet up, in an aspect. But anyway, Saturn and Neptune, that conjunction in Aries is going to be on February the 20th. So that's next month. And Uranus will enter Gemini on April the 25th. And Jupiter enters Leo on June the 30th. And I will be covering more of what that all means. Okay, so as I say, on the February the 20th, Saturn and Neptune will conjunct each other at 0 degrees of Aries. So Saturn and Neptune meet up every 36 years, but not at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the start of the zodiac. Um, when they met before, in past times, there's always a major shift in the world somewhere, some war starting, some liberation, something. So we can't, it has actually been very close, this conjunction, but this is going to be the strongest. So that's February the 20th. Astrologers usually go back to find out what happened the last time planets meet, but this transit being at 0 degrees Aries has not happened for thousands of years. So that means, we're somewhat in the dark about it. But we do know there are massive changes happening everywhere in the world, which I've been speaking about for years. So, this could be a kind of pivotal moment, I think. It's arguably the most important event of the year astrologically. And as I've already mentioned, these two planets meet only every 36 years. They are meeting at 0 degrees of Aries, the very first degree of the entire zodiac. This has not happened for, as I said, for a long time. And so it is really symbolic because obviously Aries is the start of spring. 0 degrees Aries is the start of spring. It's the equinox point and always represents initiation, planting of something, like obviously we start to see the bulbs come up and things like that. If you liken it to flowers and earth energies and things like that. So, I do feel like most astrologers, this is really, really important. Saturn represents reality and Neptune represents dreams. So, is it time to give your dreams a skeleton? Saturn rules the skeleton. If you've been just dreaming, which is the Neptune, Saturn is going to demand you make a plan. And it is a rare window to manifest something spiritual into the physical world. Because obviously Neptune is to do with spirituality, and is much more nebulous and floaty. And so the Saturn, whatever you dream or initiate, Saturn is going to make sure that it is going to happen. That's how I feel. So it needs as many people as possible continuing what they're doing. All these people in the background doing amazing things. Okay, so then we come to March, which seems calmer, although we do have a total lunar eclipse in Virgo on March the 3rd. And I'm going to talk about the eclipses later on. So in April, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy for me, which I'll explain in a minute. So on the 10th of April, Mars moves into Aries. this is its own sign, whereas it's at its strongest. It's its strongest energy as Mars rules Aries. And so obviously whilst it's in Aries, it's going to be very feisty. And the Mars is going to conjunct the Saturn and the Neptune, which we've just talked about, during around the 10th, okay? And it will also sextile Pluto. And around the 15th to the 17th, we actually have 7 planets, including Mercury, Mars, Saturn and Neptune, and the Sun and Moon and Chiron, all in Aries at the time of the new moon. So, and I myself have Mars in Aries in my birth chart, and we'll have Mars, Mercury, and Saturn all on my Mars at that time. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I have my thoughts, but I don't want to voice them. But I also have Venus and Mercury in Aries, a bit further on. 15 is my Venus and 28 is my Mercury. So they're all eventually going to transit, my planets. But the first one obviously is the Mars. So I'm going to have Mars on my Mars, which gives amazing energy. And Saturn is restrictions, which is the opposite. And Neptune is kind of floaty and spiritual, and so goodness knows, and the Mercury as well. So I have to wait and see. As I say, I've got my own thoughts, but um, I'll let you know. But anyway, if you have strong energy of Aries in your chart, this is going to affect you more than most people. You could have your moon in Aries, you could have Aries ascendant, it could be at the top of the chart, could be on the descendant, or you could have planets like me in Aries. So, yeah, I think it's interesting times. So at the end of April, Uranus is finally going to leave Taurus and move into Gemini. And Uranus we talked about so much as well. It's the planet of rebellion and the shock of the new. And after it's 7 years in Taurus, which is Earth and grounded, it moves into the fast-talking, curious Gemini. So it's high voltage mental energy. Expect massive breakthroughs in AI, communication, and maybe how we travel as well. Again, let's wait and see, but it's going to be in there for 7 years. So, there's going to be lots of changes. Um, Personally, your mind will feel like it's being upgraded. You might feel restless or suddenly crave a totally different way of life or a social circle. As I say, it's a 7 year cycle of unlearning um, old ways of thinking. So what do you have in Gemini? Um, as Uranus will be hitting it over the next 7 years. So it'll be very interesting because Uranus is the awakener. Because it's in Gemini, it means that you might have aha moments, maybe synchronicity. So yeah, if anything happens and you've got planets in Gemini, please let me know. Particularly if you've got your sun there, then that's going to be a biggie. Or your moon in Gemini, it's going to be a biggie. And then Jupiter enters Leo on June the 30th. So, after spending the first half of the year in sensitive Cancer, the planet of luck and expansion roars into Leo. So it's dramatic, it's creative, and it's bold. If you know Leos, they are like that. So the collective mood really shifts from survival mode, which was Cancer, um, into self-expression and creativity. It's a fantastic transit for romance, art, finding your confidence again, um, and it's permission to be too much, really, and enjoy the spotlight. Um, May and June seem to be less chaotic, or are we just in a lull really before July comes around? Because July is the next month where we have lots going on. And at the beginning of July, Mars is going to conjunct Uranus. So anything can happen under that transit, and you may have more revelations, more protests around the world as people stand up for their rights and freedom. It's actually a pioneer energy, striking out as collectively we can make new communities thrive and develop. Mars will also sextile Neptune, which can be, helping turn dreams into reality. And Mars trine Pluto can help when intense power is needed to stand firm. So these transits happen around the same time at the start of July. And on the 15th, Uranus will sextile Neptune, which gives a very strong intuition and a certainty of doing the right thing. So I think it's important that you listen to your gut feeling, your intuition um, on the 15th. And on the 19th, the three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are all at 4 degrees, um, along with Jupiter. So this is very, very unusual to have the outer planets all at the same degree. They're not in the same sign, but nevertheless, they are at the same degree. And on the 19th to the 23rd, Jupiter will be opposite Pluto. This is about power and control. So maybe we will see this happening around the world. It may be a battle of wills as one side tries with everything they've got to control the other side. It might be that people stand up and say, we're not having digital ID, for instance. We're not going to be, um, have this surveillance 24/7. And, people are really getting uptight and angry about it already. So let's see what happens, in the middle of the year. And just to say, from May to October, Pluto does go retrograde. And when planets go retrograde, it is about reflection. And so I think this is about deep reflection on your power and what you bring to the community, the community you live in or belong to. So jumping to November, the 14th to the 28th, Venus stations direct and will sextile Jupiter and Mars. So this is a great transit for social gatherings and meetings, and meeting a new partner if that's what you're looking for. It brings new people into your life and a renewal energy. And at the same time, Jupiter will conjunct Mars, which is great for timing and planning. And it gives an enormous amount of energy to start or continue or complete a project. So I was going to mention the eclipses this year. So we have four eclipses in 2026 that act as the destiny accelerators of the year. While normal new and full moons suggest monthly cycles, eclipses bring fated changes that can alter the course of your life over the next 6 months. Of when they've happened, you add 6 months to whenever the eclipse happens. Um, so obviously on the world stage, it's going to have an effect, but what kind of effect is it going to have personally? So on February the 17th, we have a solar eclipse in Aquarius. And this is about being authentic, what it means to be authentic, what it means to stand in your own truth. And as an annular solar eclipse, it creates a ring of fire in the sky in Aquarius, and it's all about breaking away from the herd to follow your own unique vision. And it's a powerful time to launch a tech project, maybe. This is because Uranus and Aquarius, it rules tech, it rules new tech. It also rules astrology, interestingly, so, if you suddenly wanted to learn astrology, that would be okay too. But it is a powerful time to launch a tech project. Is this going to maybe have an effect on AI? Maybe. But it's powerful time to launch something, maybe a tech, or join a community, or take up astrology, or some other ology, or change how you show up in your social circles as well. Okay, so what unique part of you have you been hiding just to fit in? So, if you have spiritual interests, for instance, do you keep them to yourself? Do you keep it under wraps? Or do you stand in your own truth and have the courage to speak about it to other people? Because this is the year to stand out and speak your truth. It really is. And I do know people that I've done charts for, because I've only ever done charts for people who are spiritual. And I don't know why that is. It's very kind of, yeah, it's just odd, really. And so I bring it up in the reading, and they've got, just a normal job, shall we say, and they go, "Oh no, I don't tell anybody." And so you think, well, why don't you tell people? "Oh, I've been told I'm a healer, but I don't, I do it, but I only do it for close friends," or something like that. Or I never talk about it, or I only talk about it with my best friend, or, whatever. And so it is really important. What's the worst that can happen? That the person is interested that you're talking or telling. And this has happened recently when I met somebody who's very spiritual. I met somebody else who's quite spiritual but never mentioned it. And these two got together and found out they had a lot in common. And I said, "You've got to teach her everything you know." And this is the kind of thing I think that's going to, occur. So, March the 3rd, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is always about cleansing, it's the vibe is the great cleanse. So this is a blood moon that shines, it's quite harsh, but it's a helpful light on your habits, which is Virgo, your health, which is Virgo, and your work routine, which is Virgo. Because it's a lunar eclipse, it's about ending this. And you might finally quit a job that drains you, finish a grueling project, or let go of a health habit that isn't serving you anymore. So you also need to ask what clutter, physical or mental, is blocking your productivity or your way forward. So think about that. And that, I think, is really important, because if this is work and health, if you're not doing the right thing in your work, then it can affect your health and you become ill. So it's really, really important, if you can, I know it's not always possible, to do something that you really love to do. And if there's something you really love to do, you could start to do that on the side anyway. Okay, so we've got a total solar eclipse in Leo on August the 12th. And it means, really, it's Leo, so it's massive. You will see this because obviously, it's going to shine. So anyway, it's a massive, highly visible eclipse crossing Greenland, Iceland, and Spain. In Leo, it's all about courage and leadership. This is a reboot for your identity. It's the best time of the year to step into a leadership role, start a creative passion project, or simply decide to be more visible in the world. Okay. So this is really, Leo's about creativity. And also I think it connects to your spiritual piece as well. So then on August the 28th, we've got a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. So, um, that's just 2 weeks after the Leo eclipse. And this obviously is Pisces. So it's much more reflective and pulls you inward. It's a sign, Pisces is a sign of the subconscious. And this eclipse helps you release um, victim complexes, the martyr complex, or situations where you've been losing yourself, in other people and what they want. So you're not really looking after yourself. It's a very spiritual, dreamy time that really favors closure and forgiveness. Um, so, you need to ask, where am I sacrificing my own peace for someone else's drama? You know, um, so, eclipses often bring surprises. If something unexpected happens around these dates, try not to fight it. It's usually the universe's way of clearing a path that you were, too hesitant to clear yourself. So 2026 is the year we stop waiting for things to happen. Um, and we start initiating. The Aries energy, the Saturn and Neptune gives you the spark, and the Gemini energy, Uranus, gives you the ideas, and Jupiter in Leo is very optimistic and supportive, you know. So I wanted to really end on a positive note. Um, and I know it's going to be bumpy um, the first half of the year. But we have to be positive. We have to dream in what we want the world to look like, what we want our life to look like. And I usually give an affirmation, which you say every Monday, once a week. It doesn't have to be a Monday. Hand on the heart, 2026 is a year of transformation, love, peace, and community spirit. So 2026 is a year of transformation, love, peace, and community spirit. So I've brought, some of the transit energy, the love and peace of Venus, the transformation um, of Pluto, the community spirit of Gemini and Uranus. So, I just, yeah, I would just have to be positive because none of us really know what is around the corner. But I am very positive that we will come out of this better. Um, so please be strong. You know where I am if you need to get in touch with me. My Facebook page is Astrology Sue Fletcher. My website is astrologysue.com. And you can get to my Facebook and my YouTube channel on my website. Through my website, you can send me a message through my website. Um, and, I just wish you all the very best for a peaceful, happy 2026. So I hope to see you at the beginning of February. And, you know, obviously February, um, it's got some things going on. So we will see what happened in January. So take care, stand in your own truth, be kind. and good to everybody that you come across. Bye for now. Bye bye.